In this video, you're going to learn how you can basically make an advanced AI for a kind of like a TTP or FP AI shooting AI in Unreal Engine 4.27.2. So as you can see, I already created a third-person template in Unreal Engine 4.27. I add the military weapon pack and simple animation starter pack for design our AI. So first of all, I will create a new folder and let's give it name AI and dash master. Okay, I already have this kind of like demo label, so I'll be copy this label, in fact his data, light data, and basically duplicate that and basically move these two things in my AI master. So I don't need to build a full label right now, so the time will be saved and all the already organize everything easily, so I can easily start. Okay, first of all, we need a AI that who can shoot another AI, okay, without any navigation mesh volumes. Okay, like if you check in YouTube, tons of YouTube videos available that how you can basically chase a AI by plain player, but there's no video available that how a AI can chase another AI. Okay, so we'll be create that. So first of all, let's make his basic structure. So we'll be start with blueprint, then character. Let's give it name that AI, kind of like AIA, or you can give it something unique that it will be easy for you to understand, like yeah, this is the AI, this is the another AI. So let's give it name that I'm not sure, so I'm just giving name that AI AIA, or the AI, let's give something some unique that it will be make some. Okay, AIPO AI army. Okay, AI army, and who will be fight, that is basically the AI, the enemy. Okay, that is basically easy for us to understand. And make sure that if you go to plugins and if you search here that AI, your AI plugin should be enabled at here, that character AI should be enabled. If it's not, so just check and enable that and restart your engine. Once you do that, now we need to set up basically his basic base. So just double click and open, and inside of that we need to first of all set his mesh. Okay, so for the mesh, what will we do, we can set up the third-person character mesh. So because there's a third-person template available, that's why it's showing that one too. But we need basically from these ones, we only need his this manicure, that is also the similar name, that's why it's coming. So we'll be change this animation a name that animation or TTP ARY army mesh. Okay, that is basically our TTP army mesh. And then we'll do the same thing, that TTP ARY army slash mesh PHY, that is basically the physics, and will we give it name that TTP ARMY army slash mesh and army skeleton. Okay, so now everything is set up, so we can easily understand that yes bro, this is for our TTP RB, this one is for others. Okay, like that. Okay, now let's come in our AI master, and instead of that AI master, let's come in skeletal mesh, and from it here we can now easily find that which one basically. So as you can see, this is our original, that TTP army mesh. Once you get that, compile and save. Now we need to select our mesh. As you can see, his location is not correct. As you can see, the arrow at Unreal Engine is showing that this is his face, so we need to set up him. So at here on the rotation, we need to set that -90, and set the location we need to set at -90. So it will be automatically come in a accurate adjust. You can make it some more up for the legs, so kind of like -85 or the -86, that 85 to 86, that is pretty much similar, so you can give anything. So you can test your dummy with by drag and drop him in the world. So as you can see, the 86 is close enough for this character. That is pretty much enough good. Now we have this AI. Okay, he is basically the army. So double click and we can give it a name that a army. So let's get with capsule, let's add a text tex, and that is text for render, and let's give it on his head that he is basically the army. So army, and if you want you can change the color. So let's give it color to green, that army. So as you can see, we can easily see that he is now a army character. Now that was nice. Now we need to set up basically his animation. Okay, as you can see, the current his animation, he don't have any animation, so we need to create his animation. So for creating that animation, we need to right mouse, animation, and animation blueprint. And here we need to select that animation instance, and from this skeleton we need to select his mesh skeleton. That is basically our TTP army mesh skeleton, and double open. And now you can give his animation name. So let's give it that AI master animation. Okay, basically is basically the animation, that is the master animation, because we'll be use the same animation for our AI enemy too, that's why. So as you can see, now he have the animation. So double click and open, and at here in animation class we'll be select his that AI master animation. So the animation is now currently set up his body. Now we need to set up the animation. So what you need to do, double click and open your animation, and here that is basically your output post. So from the result we need to make a new state machine, and that is basically your state, that way we will select set up the all the animation. So as you can see, if you compile and save, there's a showing you a warning. Don't worry, just double click and open. Instead of that you find a enter pin. So from that you need to just drag and drop with left mouse, and here we need to add a state. This state is basically in your state you can set up the animation. So instead of that, let's give it that idle, because first time it will be always play the idle animation, that's why. If it's not doing anything, it will still stay in his own location right now. So what he should be do, which type of animation she should be play, so that is basically the idle animation. So double click and open. So as you can see, we can set up here a basically a animation. So just go to your asset browser. So as you can see, all the animation which have with link up with this skeleton, we find all the list at here. As you can see, that was pretty much enough good. Now let's search here that idle. So at here we'll be find that crouch idle, pistol idle, hip idle, and the hip break idle, a back 2 idle, and there's an iron sight idle, and there's a prone idle. So you can set up which one you liked. So for my case, I'm just giving that iron sight idle. Then connect it with this thing with your output animation. Then compile and save. So as you can see, our character is currently playing that his animation. That was pretty much enough good. Compile and save. If you go in our anime BP, so as you can see, the army BP, it's also playing the same animation. Now let's come in animation state machine. Now we need that basically if our player is walking, so which animation he should be play. So for that, from that idle we can create another state, and that state we can give that walk, because he is now walking, and we can get the same return from the idle, because we need a execute and unexecute plug. Compile and save. Now at here you can see a pin. Double click and open. Here you find the variable. In add a variable, we can give it name that is moving, or he is moving. So compile and save. It is moving, so we can connect this boolean with that here. In future we'll be update this thing, we'll be set up some logic that how we can basically true and false this boolean, depends on situation, are we are moving or not. Now go to new state machine, and now at here the back come pin, double click and open. Just get your is moving or not, and set here that not, that is basically not boolean, and now connect it with this thing, compile and save. So now our animation has been linked. Now we can basically use this state, the work one. So double click and open, and now we can give that forward or backward animation, depends on situation. So let's give it that forward iron side animation, so that is the backward, that is the forward, but that is crouch, we don't need the crouch one, we need iron side forward, that is one. So now connect it with this thing. Now compile and save. So now if our character, if that boolean is true or false, depend on that, as you can see, the character will be play the animation. That was simply great, and it will be work for our character. Now we need to go in basically the on the event graph, because we need to set up here some logic. So here you can see that try pawn owner, from that we can get some value. So from here we need to cast our the army. Okay, so for that we need to cast to army like that. If it's failed, you can also cast for some, if you want to use this animation for the master, depends on another AI you can set up. So get vector, from that get pawn owner we can get vectority, and from that get vectority we can get length, or you can also search that len and find the vector length. So basically that is your value, that are it's moving or not. So from that we can basically promote a variable to get the speed in future. And also what you can do, let's make it this straight, and that from that we can basically get it than that is basically the get it than equals that's more than 0.1. so let's make it straight also, that 0.1. if it's that, so it's mean that our AI is moving. Okay, so from that we can basically get a sequence, so it will be make it more clear. So connect it like this thing, and also connect it, plug this thing with that. Okay, so as you can see, the animation is now totally, it will be work depend, if our character is right now moving, it will be play automatically that animation, that the moving animation. Now compile and save. Now we are pretty much enough done at in our AI. Our AI has been set up the animation correctly. For the fire, we can also set up the fire animation also, but for now let's keep it like that. Okay, now let's make the another AI, that is basically the our, just copy this thing, and only on name we need to add that AI enemy. Okay, but there's a problem. Our this character, he does know, our animation don't know that are he is moving or not. Okay, so that is basically the problem. So also what you need to do, that if it's we can basically connect this thing with a vectority, so we can basically unplug this thing from at here and unplug this thing also from at here, and just get the sequence at here connected, and from that you can basically upon this side you can add basically this thing. Now what will we do, if it's don't have that AI event, he can basically verify that are that thing is moving or not. Okay, or if we are now giving at that, so it's depend on situation, it will be work that are is moving or not. So let's give it that name, that he's basically the enemy. So let's give it his name, that enemy, enemy, and let's give the color to red, because enemy always red. I'm not sure that why the text are not visually great, so I'm giving like this color, so we can basically see him easily, that is basically the enemy. So enemy, and here's the army. So now we need to make the system that between them they will be fight with each other. First of all, they need to verify that just think if there's a two AI, okay, like that, and there's, as you can see, if you check from this distance, so as you can see this AI is near of this army greater than this one. Okay, so it's mean that he's the near one, so our AI, our army, need to cast him first, then should be cast him second, because we need to now make the system that to find the nearest enemy. So for making that system that finding the nearest enemy, we need to come in our AI army, go to event graph. Now from the event begin play, we need to create a sequence for future use, and from that 0 position we need to get all actor from class, and at here we need to set up our AI enemy, and from the output we need to promote a variable, and we need to give it name that enemy BP ref. That is basically the enemy BP reference. So we have now the enemy BP reference. Now compile and save. Now in event tick we'll need to create a sequence. So from the sequence we found in Unreal Engine, if you search that find near fi and define near nearest actor, you find here that a code that find nearest actor. Okay, I'm giving it that this is a very unique one, that's I'm giving a star, then find a nearest actor. So as you can see there, you find basically that the actor check, and here the distance, how much is the distance, and the return value. So the origin is mean that our own location, so we need to get all actor from class, sorry, we need to basically get the actor location. So get AC to your actor location and connect it with this thing. Now we need that the reference that which enemy he need to basically find. So we'll get our enemy and just get like that. Now connected with our actor to check. Once we do that, we have now in our return value, we can now have his reference that from that two enemy, which one is near of this army. So he will be get that enemy reference in our at here on the return value. Okay, that was very nice. So compile and save. Now from the return value, what we can do, we can basically AI move to. So AI move to. So this is basically a blueprint function or a blueprint code that it will be easily find that AI and he can go near of that. So on the sequence we will connect it like this thing and make it like that. Now the return value should be target, and the pawn is basically the self reference. So let's create here that a self reference, get the self reference and connect it with the pawn. We don't need to give the destination because we are already give him target. We need to give the radius that how much far he should be stopped. So let's give it, because he is a FPP or a TTP player AI, so we can give it 250 radius around. Compile and save. If you want, you can also get the distance that if you need the basically the value. In future will be use the distance. For now let's skip it. Now if I compile and save, and if I save that thing, we need, if I now play, so he can find basically the from that nearest, but the problem is he don't he also need the path that where he can basically move. So for making that, we need a navigation mesh volume. So add navigation mesh volume. For now let's add like here. Now our AI know that which one is basically near or how he need to go. Okay, he know the basically the path. Now if I come play, so as you can see our character is going near of that AI. Okay, if I press F8, so I even in a play mode I can basically control the character. So let's make this AI, let's turn him. So as you can see our character or our AI is now moving on his position. Okay, so he's going so far from this, so our army is getting now this AI reference. Okay, so as you can see everything is pretty much enough working, but there is a problem in rotation. Okay, he's not rotating with the character, as you can see. So let's fix this problem. Now double click and open your AI. Now compile and save. From that thing we can set AC to your actor rotation. So that is basically set actor rotation. Now we need basically the rotation value. So what will we do, we need to find look at rotation. So use find look sorry fi and define look at rotation. and return value with that new rotation. And now we need to start basically that is or the AI self location, and the target is basically the target easy to understand. So now we need to give the target actor rotation. So what will we do? From that actor location we'll be get that and plug with our start location, and the target we need basically from the return value we need to get actor location. So get actor actor get actor location and connect it like return value with our target. Now we have that set up the rotation. Now compile and save. And also you can set up the character maximum walk speed. So let's do that. With even this target, what will we do? Well, we get character movement and set max walk speed. That is basically his maximum walk speed. Connect it like that. Now as you can see the maximum walk speed, what you need to do, you can give any value however you want. So I'm giving that 300. For my case it's enough good. Make it a straight connection. Okay, now it's pretty much enough. Great. Also for here compile and save. Now let's click on saved, and if I click on play, as you can see he's moving like now at here. So if our AI is now rotate, so as you can see our actor is also rotating. It's in that our AI the army is also rotating. So as you can see he's very far from this AI, so he'll be now finding this that he's the most nearest AI. So now he's just chasing this one. Okay, so that was pretty much enough great. So that's all. Also the AI must need to instead of that navigation volume, if he's out of this navigation volume, our AI the army AI will be not find that enemy. Okay, so we also need to keep in mind that our AI should be instead of that box collision. You can make it some more larger. For tutorials I just make it small. So that's all for in this video. Next video we'll try to set up the shooting system, and also we'll be do the same system for our enemy too. So thank you so much for watching guys. Love you all. Bye bye and see you in next video. And that was basically great. See you in next video.